Alrighty guys, today I am having a look at the Pulsar X3, which is Pulsar's newest ergonomic mouse shape. The mouse retails for approximately $100 US and comes in a both large and mini size, as well as right and left-handed options. This is something that we're yet to see in the mainstream of ergonomic mice, while more and more ambi shapes have been featuring left-handed support in recent years with interchangeable side buttons. The mouse comes in with a length of 125mm for the large and 120 for the mini, a width of 70 or 67mm, height of 43 or 41mm, and weight of 55 and 50 grams respectively. The shape is a clone of the legendary Logitech G703, which seems to have been forgotten by Logitech, with its fans being left wanting for a more lightweight option for years. The weight is pretty perfectly balanced within the mouse, with it not feeling all too front or rear heavy when holding it at the sensor, which may be related to its position, though I'll expand more on this a little later. I have the large or size 2 shape, which is incredibly comfortable for me to grip with my 20 by 10cm hands. I use both a 1-3-1 pincer claw grip, a more aggressive 1-2-2 grip, and while I don't personally use the grip style, you could absolutely palm grip it too. This would leave the tips of my fingers falling off the edge of the mouse ever so slightly towards the top. The hump of the mouse fills out my palm incredibly well with a lot of contact with my hand, providing a locked in and controlled sensation. My only small gripe with the shape is that there is a small ledge on the right hand side where my pinky rests, and when playing a more aggressive claw grip, this made it feel as though my pinky was being pushed out, taking away from the overall locked in feeling ever so slightly. The coating of the mouse is very enjoyable, feeling quite grippy overall, though for people with very sweaty hands, it could be a little too grippy at times. This wasn't a massive issue for me, but something to be aware of perhaps for those living in overly humid conditions. On the black colored version, fingerprints are noticeable but can be cleaned off very easily with a microfiber cloth. The build quality overall was very strong, with some incredibly minor creaking towards the front of the mouse under M1, but only when pushing all my strength into squeezing it, which is not something that you will do in your average use case and is absolutely not noticeable during gameplay. The side buttons are very large, well placed, and easy to actuate, making them some of my favorite side button implementations on an ergonomic shape to date. They don't feel perfect, but they're very well tensioned with essentially no pre or post travel on my retail unit. I personally massively prefer this shape to Pulsar's other ergonomic shape in the X-Lite, which has a far more prominent and aggressive hump and a lot further forward in the mouse. The X-Lite shape is more akin to an EC clone rather than a G703, but to me this shape is far more suited to claw grip styles due to the larger rear hump. All of these factors made for a very comfortable experience when holding the mouse, giving me absolutely no reason not to recommend the Pulsar X3 from a design perspective. In terms of the mouse's performance, the X3 uses Pulsar's flagship XS1 sensor, which is based on the Pulsar 3950, but with slightly more optimized battery life for 8K polling, which the mouse is capable of, though the dongle is sold separately. I personally did not purchase the dongle, so I could not test the battery life in 8K. I feel as though the use cases for 8K are still limited at best currently, with spotty implementation depending on the title it's being used in. The sensor overall, however, performs very well, as you would expect from any flagship sensor these days, though the position of the sensor is somewhat lower than what I'm used to, sitting closer to the wrist joint than usual. This wasn't very noticeable to me, though it could pose an issue for people who aim primarily using their wrist, as it will limit the range of motion slightly. The X3 uses Kale optical switches, which I prefer to the optical switches used on the X-Lite, and are definitely well implemented and tensioned, though maybe a little heavy for some, especially compared to other optical switches such as Omron's or the Lamzu Maya X. There was only very little side-to-side play on my unit, nor considerable pre or post travel on either mouse 1 or mouse 2. The clicks aren't as good as most mechanical switches on the market nowadays, which is the one piece of advice I would give to Pulsar. If they ever release an esports version of the X3 like they did for their other lines, I would love to see them use mechanical switches more akin to the implementations of Zowie, Vaxi, and EGG. The rubberized scroll wheel uses a Pulsar Blue encoder with pretty smooth steps, which are clearly identifiable but don't feel very aggressive when scrolling. Pressing in the scroll wheel does require a good amount of force, though I didn't find this to be much of an issue when I was using the mouse. Overall, to me, this mouse is something that we've needed desperately. I've never put an exorbitant amount of hours in the G703, so I cannot speak to how well of a clone it is, but what I can say is that it is objectively my favorite ergonomic mouse which I have used, and one of my favorite mice in general as well. As someone who usually stays away from ergonomic shapes, this mouse has opened my eyes to how comfortable they can be and has absolutely set the standard for any ergonomic shapes to come in the future. Good job, Pulsar. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please do leave a like and subscribe to my channel. If there are any products you would like to hear my thoughts on, let me know in the comments down below. Also, in the comment section, let me know any other forgotten mice like the G703 which you would like to see renewed with modern specs. Thank you all again for watching, and see you next time.